guys, it's the Macintosh Guide, and today I've got a video on my OLED Nintendo Switch. Now you guys must be wondering, well, why are you doing a video on this? There's nothing really interesting about it. Well, there is definitely something interesting about it, and that is, you see this tinfoil, which means that this Nintendo Switch has been modded. And we're going to see what are some of the benefits and also compare it to a normal LCD model, which is also modded, and a Nintendo Switch that is not modded. So guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy this one. So as you can tell, this is the OLED model. Now, what's interesting about the OLED model is obviously you get this gorgeous OLED display, and the only way you can mod this Nintendo Switch is by having a Picofly extension into your motherboard. So this has to be soldered in, and I'm not any specialist at doing this. I actually paid somebody online on eBay to get this service done for me, and again, it was very speedy. They did it in the same day and shipped it back off for me to get it the next day. I will link that account below if YouTube allows me to, but guys, it allows you to do so many things. You can go, one of the biggest things is about tinfoil. So tinfoil is pretty much where your library sits at. It currently talks about all the games I've got installed, and now I own every single game that is here. Before you guys think that I don't and I'm pirating them, no, I own every single one of them. But it allows me to do stuff like dumb title keys. I can do information about the console. Gives me some options about, like, I can fake a link. I can fake link a Nintendo Online account if I wanted to. T's and C's, download threads, API keys, install on-site code, and also any updates, any DLCs for them as well. So it allows me to do quite a lot of things. And then obviously I can install games via USB, over the network, and also via micro SD card. So I have a 256 gig card on this machine, in this Switch I believe, and I've only got about 5.7 gigs on them. I don't have to have my cartridges installed. I can literally just play them on my Switch without having to take a bunch of my games with me, which is fantastic. But again, you can only do this with a modified Switch. Now, other things you're able to do with a modified Switch is unlock frame rate. So games like Red Dead, you can actually play a 60 FPS if you wanted to. And yeah, you can get like a cheats menu if you wanted to. Now, one of the downfalls of it is you cannot play online on your Nintendo Switch. You cannot. If you do that, you will most likely be banned by Nintendo, and rightfully so, because you are possibly using the cheats menus, and it makes sense, right? It makes sense for Nintendo to do that. As much as people say that, oh, Nintendo shouldn't be doing that at all, I can understand from their perspective. So yeah, one downside, cannot play online unless you're into your stock home, onto the stock version of your Switch, and again, you still have a chance of running risk. I don't actually own any multiplayer games besides FT24, and again, I'm not really concerned about playing it online on this Nintendo Switch when I've got a Nintendo Switch which isn't hacked. So I can absolutely use that Switch to play online against other people. Now, let me just turn the Switch off and show you the launcher that comes up first. So let me do that now. So as you can see, it's running Hecate version 6.0.7, and it's very, very easy to launch into custom. So you click on launch, and then you'll see different options there. You'll see semi-stock, CFW custom firmware, or you have EMU MMC custom firmware. You would want to load into EMU MMC, but this also means that you cannot play online games. As soon as you try to play online games, you're most likely going to be banned the next minute by Nintendo. I'm not sure what detection protocols they have in place, but there's probably something in there that allows them to know that you're not coming in from a hack switch. And then it simply is a matter of just waiting a couple of seconds and you won't even realise the difference that the Nintendo Switch is modded and you're into the modded firmware. So yeah, that's the modded side of the Nintendo Switch. Now if we look at my second Nintendo Switch, which is a modded LCD model, now this one is actually very different. The reason why this Nintendo Switch is quite different from the OLED one is because this is a version 1 Nintendo Switch. So I picked this up from eBay for around, I think, £125, I think it was. It was quite cheap. So it was very responsive and just, yeah. So they initially had this Switch modded using the jig process. Sorry, I completely forgot what the name was. They were using the jig process. Now, that's great. It's fantastic. But the issue is that you have to keep, if your Nintendo Switch died, you'd have to connect it to a PC, and again, you'd have to use the jig to be able to do that. Now, with this other process that my OLED model has, the Picofly system, that allows you to pretty much, again, have it soldered into your motherboard, and from then onwards, it's pretty much easy as pie. You just need to install the modded software onto the SD card, plug that SD card into your Switch, and you're good to go. It's that easy. And there's a couple of steps that you'd have to follow, which I'm not going to show at all, as I don't want my channel to be banned. But yeah, it's very easy, very quick, and then you end up with a modded Nintendo Switch. And you can probably tell I've got way more games on here. And again, these are games I own. These are not something I've pirated. This one has a larger SD card, which is great. And you know, being able to install your updates, you can do that all via tinfoil. I can connect these to Wi-Fi if I wanted to because of 90DNS. Now, a lot of people say that you shouldn't be using 90DNS. 90DNS blocks every Nintendo server, which is great. But again, there's a lot of ifs and buts here. Again, you can't play online. So a lot of like NBA, I can't play online. EAFC, I can't play online. 2K Drive, I can't play online. So yeah, there's those things you need to consider. But it's great to own a modded Switch, and you know, this is the one that kind of brought me into you know, that modded Switches are worth it. And I bought my own jig as well. Before realising that getting it soldered in was probably way better. And that's what I did. I sent it off to the eBay seller who I got my OLED done by, and I absolutely loved it. And you know, this is why I'm now proud owner of 2 Nintendo Switches that are modded. One LCD, one OLED. One I keep in my office that I can play whenever I'm not in meetings or I'm just want to have a bit of downtime, and my OLED, which stays downstairs in my game room, and I use that there. So yeah, modded Switches, guys, always a thumbs up. Now, this final Nintendo Switch, you might be wondering, well, why on earth have you got 3? And as I mentioned, the 2 modded ones I cannot use as online, whereas a non-modded one I can. And in this instance, any games I downloaded from the Nintendo eShop, I can play them. I wouldn't have any issues with them. So one of the benefits of a non-modded Switch is I can play online. I can play against my friends if I want to, and you know, play a couple of games of EAFC, NBA. So you know, it makes sense if you're into the multiplayer instance to have a non-modded Nintendo Switch. I actually picked this one up for dirt cheap. I think less than 100 quid. So again, I got very lucky. Seller was looking to get rid, barely used it, sent me all the accessories, the dock, everything. So I'm now also a proud owner of 3 docks, which I don't know what I'm going to do with all of them at the same time. But again, yeah, non-modded Switch. So you know, you can play online, you can download games off your eShop, you can do the normal Nintendo stuff, you can update your console to the latest versions. You can do that with the modded ones, but there's a lot of faffing around. Whereas here, you don't need to do as much. But guys, that's a non-modded Nintendo Switch. So those are the differences between all of them. So yeah guys, this was just a very quick comparison between my two modded and non-modded switches, and just a few things about why a modded switch is great to have and why it's also good to have a non-modded switch. Whatever you decide, guys, is up to you, but let me know in the comment section below which ones you own and what do you do with your modded switch. I'll see you guys in the next one.